Maryanne Parker's here. Maryanne, is it bad manners for me to say my partner sucks at the guitar? If he's not in my presence, is it still bad manners?
Oh, well, everybody will find out
Yeah,
what you think
true.
of him.
That's right. Maryanne Parker is the owner of Manner of Manners, mannerofmanners.com. She is. Do we call you an etiquette specialist? Is that what? See, look at how I'm standing. I'm even this. Do people get this way around you?
Yes, that's why I don't.
Because I'm usually like this.
That's why I really don't mention usually, especially if I'm attending a luncheon or
Oh my
anything,
gosh.
because
They
I'll
start
be eating
eating
by
like this?
No, I'll be eating by myself, so I don't mention
But
anything.
you don't. But I know you personally. You don't judge anybody. You're very nice.
No. But
how do you tell somebody like they're, like, hey, Rush, I mean, is there a way to do that?
If we're very close, I can. But at the same time, you see, as an etiquette consultant, you don't really have to tell people how to behave. You have to really be understanding, because everybody doesn't have the training you do. So
you have two #1 international best-selling books called The Sharpest Soft Skill and Posh Overnight.
That's correct.
Why do you call etiquette the sharpest soft skill?
The sharpest soft skill, because etiquette is a very sophisticated topic and subject, but through etiquette, when you know your rules, when you know your mannerism, you can actually shake the world.
Well, here's my question, though. So when you got on the air here, Curtis Matovich sat you
Yes.
on the set, and you got a million people coming at you telling you what to do, to all this stuff. It's a lot of stuff to remember.
Yes.
For you right now, it's a lot of stuff to remember. For the rest of us, though, etiquette's the same way, though. I would argue that for the rest of us walking through life, so for you in this next 10 minutes, there's a lot for you to remember with all the lights and the cameras, all the things going on.
That's true, yeah.
But for the rest of us, this is a full-time job trying to remember what fork I'm supposed to use, or if I'm supposed to open the door for a lady from the right side or the left side, or if I'm supposed to reach across to grab the salt. I mean, what do you explain to people that are just plain old? Because I can tell you, the guys in there from Challenge Athletes Foundation and the guys over there in the control room are all shaking like Don Knotts right now, because they're worried that they're not going to impress you with their horrible manners.
Well, first of all, I'm not judgmental, that's for sure. But at the same time, etiquette, usually the training should start from a very young age and has to be reinforced, because you can really remember all those rules on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You just have to know the basics. And from there, if you want to go on a deeper direction, you can. But definitely then it's not that complicated. It's a lot of common sense as well.
Well, I mean, so let's talk about common sense. Russ, I don't know if it's Russ. I think it is Russ's joke. Russ says, you know how someone's about to tell a dirty joke. Do you know how a dirty joke's about to start? Okay, so it's National Humor Month, and Rusty's not here. So we have to talk about the inappropriate joke. Now, it doesn't have to be a dirty joke to be inappropriate, though, right? There are things that so let's just say we're at a business luncheon. Because, by the way, small talk, as you said, at a business lunch, it can turn into a big contract. Navigating a table setting can turn into a big contract, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the small talk in the very beginning that you insist that is so important, that's when people can step on it and smear it in the carpet.
It's very true. I just want to give you a very quick indication that the National Humor Month was actually established over 50 years ago, because humor is very important in our life, but if it is done correctly, because if it's not done correctly, this could be very, very difficult and very detrimental. So in other words, when you're in a certain situations, you have to consider who you're talking to.
Okay.
Has to be...
But what if you think it's okay? Like, I'm close with Maryanne. Me and Maryanne are great. And what if we are not as great as I thought we were?
Well,
I mean, because how many of you have been in that situation, right? I mean, listen, I thought we were friends, and now she's ticked off at me because I said something really obnoxious.
I'll tell you a story, for example, very, very quickly. I had a class, and I was talking about small talk and how we can actually make people like us, and I was talking about mimicking. So one of my students said, okay, he started speaking with my accent.
He started speaking like this.
Yes, he started mimicking
So Maryanne Parker, she's the manner of manners. So is that funny or is that rude?
So
Depends on who you are, right?
Exactly. So for me, this was very funny.
Well, because we know each other.
Yes, we know each other.
But you have to understand that we can't be around you without actually mimicking your accent.
But with some other people, this might not be appropriate, because it's very cultural. It is very just different depending on the situation.
I just want to know why you never mimic my accent. And I'm always mimicking your accent, baby.
Well, I really like your accent, but I have to take some classes to get to this accent.
All right, very good. Maryanne Parker, Ms. Manners, mannerofmanners.com. So let's talk about the business side of this thing, because as you mentioned, and I've seen you on a lot of stuff, including on the side of the NASDAQ. building. Your Posh Overnight is 10 pillars to
Yes.
etiquette success. I think
This is mainly about social etiquette. But
this is good though, but I think,
Yes.
but so let's, because I think social etiquette is the entree into business etiquette.
Absolutely,
Because
because-
you can't just go to the business etiquette and, you know.
and just make the deal. Yes, you have to enter somehow. But I wanted to tell you something. A lot of people, especially in business, they try, especially if they're good leaders, they try to use humor, especially in the United States. So what do? They use self-deprecating humor.
Is that better?
Well, they can be two ways. For example, the first one is when you are trying to project yourself as vulnerable and you want to get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And this one is not appropriate. But the
That's not appropriate.
No.
Like this, Chris, I know I'm as ugly as you, but here's the deal. I really need this deal. Right, so that's
Yes.
not the way to do it.
No, this
Okay.
is definitely, so you want to use self-deprecating humor, but to be more authentic. In other words, you are going to concentrate on something that is really there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't want to talk about something that just gain you more attention, more likes.
I'm
or
so
whatever
glad
the
Russ
case.
is not here right now.
So-
this would go in such a wrong direction so quickly. Okay, so for National Humor Month, I would argue that you need to be speaking in front of every major corporation in this country because two things, and I'll just tell you, there's a couple things going on here. There's the Me Too movement, there is the sexual harassment movement, there is the fact that times are changing in business.
That's true.
You could not only find yourself losing a deal, you could
Yes.
find yourself in court for some of these things. Isn't
Very
it
true.
better, so my argument would be, isn't it better just not to say anything? Should we just not, let's just get business done.
You have to, for us here, if you don't start with something funny, we don't really pay attention because we like to be entertained.
Yeah.
In the United States,
Yeah.
we are Hollywood culture.
Yeah.
But if you're in Europe or if you're somewhere else,
Oh, great.
if you use certain jokes.
So wait a second, there's other countries that we have to deal. Okay, so
Well-
U.S. is one thing. So we can get right
Very
to business
true.
here in the U.S.
Yes.
Could we get right to business in, let's say, France?
No,
No.
definitely not. Especially if you're in Germany, for example,
Okay.
and you start with a joke, they won't take you really seriously. They will be wondering what's going on because they're such a
Oh, no kidding.
conservative, strict nation. But for us, it's very different because we're very relaxed. We like to be entertained, how I said, and we're just Hollywood nation.
Are there certain cultures that where just it's inappropriate to even talk about business till after a certain amount of time goes by?
For example, in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yes, you can't really talk about business if you're in a certain event and it's a party. So you have to take a few days to pass.
A few days?
Sometimes a few days. And it was really funny.
What if I really need the deal by Friday and it's Thursday? It's not going to
I
happen.
know we have that problem too because everywhere we go, we usually talk about business because this is our nature. This is
Right.
what we like to talk about.
Right.
But with different cultures, is just different measurements, and we have to be really aware of
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Okay.
So.
Well, this is what we're going to do with you. So from now on, when you come on, and you'll see her on America Trends too very soon. But from now on, when you come on, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of your 10 pillars.
Okay, no problem.
And because in the name of the book, by the way, there's a couple of books. She's got The Sharpest Soft Skill, which is available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and all major bookstores. There's Posh Overnight, The 10 Pillars of Social Etiquette by Maryanne Parker, and that's the one that's also pre-release on Amazon.com as well. So go check that out. And Maryanne, as always, a pleasure to have you. And here we'll see you in a couple weeks. We'll probably see you on America Trends.